Hello everyone, welcome back. So in this tutorial, I would like to quickly show you a demo on how to use Spring MVC framework to develop a Hello World example. So in this case, you will have a brief idea on how the project will be developed in general, and also to check on whether your environment configuration is set up correctly or not. Okay, so let's just open the IntelliJ IDE and then click on create a new project. And here we can choose Maven. So if you guys not familiar with Maven, Maven is just a deployment tool to help you to manage the whatever dependency package that you need to use to deploy your project. You can find a lot of information online about Maven and deployment tool. So here I'll just assume you guys are already familiar with it. If not, it's okay that we can still go through the project so that you can have a hands-on experience on how it actually looks like and how it works. Another thing is that here, if you start from scratch, you need to set up the project SDK. You can see here I'm pointing to Java 8. So if there's nothing set up yet for your project SDK, you need to click on New and then find the Java SDK folder you just installed. Okay, so here I have the Java 8 already installed, so I can just use this SDK. And then we click on this create from archetype checkbox and then go to next. So for group ID, you can give a name, say Hello Spring Demo. Oops. And then give the same name for artifact ID, and then we can just store the project folder on the desktop or any other place you guys like. Say Hello Spring Demo and then click on finish. Okay, so here is the default page for this project, and then I want you guys to look at the Maven option if it pops up, and then click on the enable auto import. So in this case, whenever you change the Maven configuration file and then save it, the system will automatically import the dependency. And of course, this requires you connected to internet. Okay, and then the first dependency I would like you to add is, oh, by the way, so here is the project structure panel. So expand this project panel and then click on the pom.xml. So that's the file we just saw, and then this is how you access it. So basically, this is the document to manage the Maven dependency. Okay, so I would like to add a dependency here. So you can see the benefits that when I type in dependent, I haven't finished typing the dependencies, it's already popped up in the IntelliJ IDE, and then I can directly hit enter so that it auto completes, which is very convenient. And then we're gonna do a Spring MVC dependency. So you can just type in online Maven dependency, and this is gonna bring us to a web page that having all kinds of versions of Spring MVC Maven repository. So here is the path. So it's org.spring framework and it's pointing to Spring-web MVC. And then we can use, say, 4.0.6 version here. Let's just click on it. And here you have the dependency text. You can directly copy and then paste that into the dependency brackets, and then save. And then, if I'm not sure whether you guys noticed that once I paste in the dependency, the system automatically updated, and then there's some progress bar showing underneath it. And it was just too fast because it just flashed. But if you notice and then just play back, you should be able to see it. But anyway, after you finish importing the dependency, you should be able to see it in the external libraries. And you can see here we have this Spring Web MVC imported, and plus some other libraries as well. So if you don't have others imported, it's because that there is a framework plugin for IntelliJ that you haven't installed yet. So just to make sure, if you click on File and then go to Settings and then type in plugin and then go to search box, type in Spring, and you can see all kinds of Spring package plugin here. I'll just check all of them, and if you can't find this, which means it's not installed yet, so you can just click on the install JetBrains plugin, and then basically this goes to the internet to search whatever plugin that is available online. And because I've already installed all Spring plugins, so it's not going to pop up here. But if you haven't, they will show up here, and then you can choose all of them and then install them. So in this case, your IDE will have the Spring framework support. Okay, so and after this, we gonna click on the source and main and Java. Now we're gonna click on main, right click on it and say new directory, say web app, and click on new, right click on web app, new directory, uppercase web INF. So here we're gonna okay, let's just do it this way. We right click on this and click on add framework support, and here you will see the web application. So just click on it, checkbox, and then click OK. And then you can notice this web folder added. So I want you to copy whatever content, well, basically just web.xml file, copy it under web-inf, paste, copy, yes, and then you can delete this folder. So basically I'm just having the system to generate the web.xml file for me, and I can copy here. And then another important thing is that in the project structure here, there is a facet. Click on web part, and then there are two things we need to reconfigure. So the first thing is the location of the deployment descriptor. So just now we have the system automatically generated the web.xml, and then we copy to a new place. So we need to tell the system to point to the new web.xml location. So click on the editor button, and then click on ... to browse it, and then it should be under source, main, web app, web.inf, and then web.xml. Click OK. That's the first one. And the second one is the web resource directory. So previously there's a web directory generated by default from the system, and then we delete that. So we want it to point to the folder that we created specifically. It's this file. Sorry, I mean it's this folder, the web app folder. So here we just modify that, and again to browse it, choose the web app folder, and then click on OK, and then OK again, and OK. So in this case, the framework, the system IDE knows that where the deployment descriptor is, and also the web app folder is. So if you don't have this configured correctly, you will be having some problem when you try to run it. Alright, so next we create a package called whatever com, Spring, say hello SpringDemo.controller, and we will create a Java class controller here. Say we have the home controller. Okay, and then we can add a notation here. So it's at controller. So I haven't finished typing yet, but it's already pop up. That's because I have the Spring Framework Support plugin. Alright, and also I have import the Maven dependency as well. So in this case, the system can automatically find the corresponding keywords for us. So double click on it, or just directly click enter. And then you can see the system imported the corresponding package automatically. So what this annotation means is that it's telling the system this Java class is basically a controller. Alright, so the system, the Spring framework, will treat it as a controller. And then we'll do another annotation, request a mapping here, and then give a method public, return type as a string, give a function name, say whatever home here, and then we're going to return a string, say let's say home here. So what this does is that the keyword annotation request mapping means that we add a so we add a backslash here. So with this request mapping backslash, it means that whenever there is a HTTP request is pointing to the root of the application folder, it will be automatically mapped to this function. Alright, so this is a controller with the root directory endpoint, and we are giving a very simple response, which just return the home string. And then later we'll use a view resolver to find the corresponding view file for this home. So first let's just create a home view file first. Let's go to web app and web.inf folder, click on it, right click on it, and say new directory, and then we add a view folder, and then we create a JSP file, say home.jsp. And here we just give a simple head 1, say welcome to Spring, and save it. Okay, now we have the controller, we have the view, and then this should be good to give us a good starting point to show the welcome to Spring page. All right, but before that we need to have some configurations to be done. One of the things is the web.xml. We need to have a little configuration for the deployment descriptor, the web.xml file, to configure for the dispatcher servlet. Remember that in the diagram we were showing that the Spring MVC framework, whatever request coming from the user will directly be sent to the dispatcher servlet, and then that's the interfacing point between the user and the Spring framework. So we have to configure that first. So in the web.xml we need to set up the servlet bracket, and then we have the servlet name. Can give the name as dispatcher, and then the servlet class sub org.springframework.web.servlet.dispatcher servlet, and then we need to define another servlet mapping as well. So you can see the system automatically pop up for us. It chooses the name as dispatcher, which is supposed to be the same name as this one, dispatcher here. And then the URL pattern will give us as a root. So what this tells that is whenever the system is having this root or anything beyond the root, it will be automatically dedicated to the dispatcher servlet to handle it. Okay, so this should be good for now for the web.xml configuration. And there's another thing we need to add is the dispatcher servlet.xml, which is the configuration of the dispatcher servlet. So the difference here is that we have the web.xml to define the dispatcher servlet, and then we need also to configure the dispatcher servlet to tell how it works actually in Spring Framework. Okay, so I want the system to help me to generate this dispatcher servlet, so we can just do the similar way. Right click on this root folder, say add framework support, and when go to Spring here, click on the Spring MVC. Alright, and then click OK. So you can see there are two files added. There's a dispatcher-servlet.xml. There's application context.xml. So we don't actually need this one for now. We just delete that one. Delete it anyway. And then for dispatch-servlet, we need to add some configuration as well. The first one is context component scan, and then this basically is telling the system to scan whatever package that we have for Spring components, and then we just point to do com.spring HelloSpringDemo. You can see this is automatically prop up. All right, and then there's another one. We need to add MVC annotation driven, and then just be careful here. You need to choose this one. So it's pointing to the Spring schema MVC. Choose this one, and you can see whatever schema needed, the system help you to add it automatically. So this IntelliJ is pretty smart to help you to do some of your work. And one more thing we need to config is the view resolver. That is to define as a bean. We can give an ID as view resolver using a class of org.spring.web.servlet.view.internal resource view resolver. Okay, and here we need to define two properties. The first one is this prefix. Give a value of /web inf view / and then another property here as suffix, and the value is .jsp. So this MVC annotation driven tells the system that we will be using annotations, and then when system scan whatever Java classes, they need to be aware of the annotations and then register the corresponding controllers as beans or some more stuffs. And here we define another bean to tell the system as a prefix and suffix as a view resolver. So if we look at the controller here, we are simply returning a string, and the system has to consult the view resolver to see the full name of this the view name, the view file. So what it does is that the system takes this name, say home, and then try to find this prefix, which is this path, and then given the suffix as .jsp, which is home.jsp is the file name. So this is consistent with what we have defined here. So we see this web app as the web root folder, and then we have the web-inf folder, and then we have the view folder, and then we have the home.jsp folder. So that's how you tell the system to find this file when you request it. So let's just go through this scenario again. So when this web application is deploying and is serving, is hosting, and then user send a request, HTTP request to the server, say to the root folder, and then this request will be pointing to this controller, and then the system will find the mapping of this root folder with this function, with this method, and then the system will go through this method. Eventually here will return a simple name, a string, as string, and then system take the string name to consult the view resolver to add the prefix and suffix to that name, and that's how it finds the JSP file. And then the system will compile the JSP file into plain HTML code and send it back to the browser. Alright, so we have the code ready. There's one more thing we need to do is to configure the Tomcat. So we click on the add configuration here. Click on add. So in the list, we want to add a Tomcat server and click on the local. So here I have this application server by default because I've already set it up previously. But if you don't have it set up, you need to configure it. Try to add a Tomcat, home and whatever to the folder where you installed Tomcat previously. Alright, so I'm gonna skip the step here. And then you can just give a whatever name here, say Tomcat 8. And I'll use, say, Chrome as the browser. And then here there's a warning saying that no artifacts marked for deployment. So just simply click on fix. And the system will help you to add the war file to it. So here you can see this war exploded. So basically this exploded is just a broken down war file, so that when you actually restart a server, you can choose different options. So you just redeploy it, or you want to restart the whole server, or just recompile the file. So this will give you some of the flexibilities to choose which option, as different options will take different time to set up. So we fixed this one, and then we can see there's application context. So just give it as default, which is the root folder, and then click on apply and click on OK. And then we can click on this run button to let it run. So this is gonna take a little bit of time, but not very long. And you can notice that it says 1.5, Java 1.5 is obsolete. It will use the new version 1.8 instead. So just let it run. Okay, so there's error here. We need to do some debugging. So error during artifact deployment. Let's see what's the error. Okay, so it says listener failed to start. Okay, so here there's one thing. So remember last time we modified the web.xml file, and then after that we add the Spring framework support, and then the system will automatically modify the web.xml file. So we need to change it back. So here you can see it add several lines of it, and it's pointing to something which doesn't exist, shown as red here. So just delete it for now. Save, and then rerun it. Click on it, stop and rerun. This should be relatively quick, less than 1 minute. Okay, we have another error. Let's see what's going on. Okay, I'm gonna pause the video and then do a little bit debug and come back. Okay, I just found out that if you open the home controller.java, that controller file, I have a typo here. So actually the string should be home. I think I have an extra n added, so just delete that one. And another thing is that when you click on File, Project Structure, and I click on Artifacts, you can see there's a lot of Maven dependency packages here. You need to select all of them by clicking the first one and then hold on Shift button and then click the last one. And then you right click on it, say put into web-inf/lib. In this case, the system will add those packages in the deployment file, and then click OK. And then let's just retry it. Okay, there we go. So as we expected, we are seeing this welcome to Spring page. So if you see this as well in your system, it means your configuration and this little project is working fine. So you want to make sure that everything looks good before you go to the next sections. Okay, and also I want you to do your own exercise as well. That is, you try to reproduce this welcome to Spring example by yourself. So this time you just follow my guideline, right? I write some code and you write some code. In this case, you have a brief idea, but this is far less than enough. You have to burn it into yourself. So only by doing that yourself, you will remember those things. So I would urge you to do it again and then by yourself. Alright? So good luck. I'll see you in the next section.